Hello fellow bookworms, it's Katie. Today is the day that I'm talking about all the wonderful books that I've read in 2017. I'm not a superlative kind of person, and so I don't rank my books from 1 to 10. And I have read so many great books last year, and they were great for so many different reasons. So I sat down and thought about all the books that I've read in 2017. And so this list is more a list of books that stayed with me during the year, that I've read and that stayed with me for whatever reason. So on the list there are not just 5-star books, there are also 4-star books and I think even 3-star books, but they have stayed with me for one reason or another. First, I've got some numbers for you. I've read in total 70 books last year. 7 of those were German and 63 of them were English, so that makes 10% German books and 90% English books. 2 of the English books were translated, one from French, that was a picture book called Mary Poppins, Up, Up and Away, and one from the Japanese, which was The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. And according to Goodreads, I read in total 18,404 pages. I had 4 1-star reads, 10 2-star reads, 16 3-star reads, 27 4-star reads, and 13 5-star reads, which makes an average of 3.5 stars in my rating. That's not too bad. 3.5, nah, that sounds about right. Alright, let's get into the books that I really enjoyed. I've tried to categorize the books a little bit according to the reason why I remember them or why they stayed with me. So the first category is childhood revisits, and the first of which is something that I've just recently listened to on audiobook, and that is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Now, this was the first time around that I've actually read or listened to Harry Potter in the original. I've only ever listened or read it in German, but still it was just so heartwarming, especially in the beginning. Like, I totally forgot how terrible the Dursleys treated Harry, and I was just feeling so much for him, and I was just so happy when Hagrid finally showed up. And the first book, there's just some charm about it, so much wonder and magic, and you're there with Harry discovering the magical world for the first time, and everything is so wonderful and full of hope and promise, and it's just my heart, y'all, my heart. And then the second book in this category, Childhood Revisits, was also an audiobook that I've listened to in summer. It is called Momo by Michel Ende. Momo is originally German, but it's been translated into almost every language on the planet. It is so good. This book holds so much truth, and when I was younger, I didn't really get it the way I get it now, because there's so much truth in it, and I can't really explain it in another way, because the book is really about time and how we spend time and how we choose to spend time, how precious time actually is. I don't really have words for it. It's just really good. The next category is called Flawed but Left an Impression. First on my list is The Gracekeepers by Kirsty Logan. The thing that stayed with me from Gracekeepers mostly is the sense of the world. There's just this very particular sense of magic and mystery and secrets and just water and sea and ships and circus. The next book on my list is A Face Like Glass by Frances Hardinge. This is a children's book. Also, the sense of the world just stayed with me. The sense of Caverna and this underground city and these images that unfolded in my head while reading it, those just stayed with me, and also this sense of magic. And I really enjoyed the book also because of the writing, which was really good. Next on my list is the book Mords by Terry Pratchett. It was hilarious, so funny, and that is what I think of when I think back on it. It's that it was so hilarious. And the last book in the category is The Sleeper and the Spindle by Neil Gaiman and illustrated by Chris Riddell. I just poured over this book, and I think I've read it twice in a row or something, because I just really enjoyed the images with the text, and I don't really remember the text too much, but I do remember the images very, very vividly, and that's why it stayed with me. The next category is called Really Excellent, and these are just excellent books that were super enjoyable. And first on that list is Radiance by Catherine Valenti. This book is a little bit of an unusual science fiction story. It is basically Art Deco Hollywood set in space. Again, because of the images that unfurled in my head and because of the sense of the characters and the enjoyment that I had while reading it. It's such a beautiful book, so beautifully written, and just the way the narratives come together and the way you kind of have to find out what happened, this mystery element. I really, really enjoyed it. It was really, really excellent. And the next on my list, Nevernight by J. Christoph. Y'all, this was such a fun book to read. The excitement that I felt while reading it and the attachment that I felt towards the main character and the twists and turns and my shock when the things happened that done happened and the way it just gripped me and didn't let go. And the last book in this category is Persuasion by Jane Austen. I identify with Anne Elliot quite a lot. She is a little bit older than most characters in or most protagonists of Jane Austen, and her sense of self and her sense of duty, that stayed with me. And also just Captain Wentworth. We all need some romance in our lives sometimes. And the last category is called Excellent Quality and Reaches into Your Heart. The first on this list is called The Girl Who Raced Fairyland All the Way Home by Catherine Valenti. It's the last book of the Fairyland series, and honestly, I stayed up for half the night to finish this book because I had to. It is it's such a great ending for September's journey. I loved it so much, and I cried and I loved, and I'm so happy for September. And I don't know, at the end of the book I had just this boost of self-confidence. I can't really explain it. The next on my list was such a surprise. It is called Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo. Objectively looked at this book, it may not be the best book ever written. No, it definitely isn't. There are just things in this book, and characters say things out loud where I thought, thank you, I really needed to hear this. And sometimes I even cried because I really, really needed to hear these kind of things. It was so inspiring, and I don't know, I think just Wonder Woman is such a great character on her own because she is so pure and she just represents hope and good things in the world, but also all the other characters in this book are great. And they have such a great dynamic, especially the three female main characters. They have such a great dynamic and such a great friendship. And it's just so heartwarming to read this kind of thing. The next book on my list was one that I've read very early last year, and it's called Dreams Underfoot by Charles Lind. It is a book from the Newford series. It's a short story collection, and all of the short stories are kinda connected. They are set in the same city. And yes, some of them I like better than others, but overall the stories were such great investigations of different aspects of life and different characters, and some of them really, really touched me in my heart, like here, in places that I really didn't see that coming. And I don't know what happened, but again, as with Wonder Woman and Fairyland, I just needed to hear some of these things. There were so many truths in this book, and I just needed to hear them. The last book on my list is the last book that I've finished in 2017, and it was so great. It shot right onto my favorites of all time list, and it is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. It is an investigation of the crew members of the Wayfarer spaceship, and it's an interspecies group, so there are different alien species together on the ship. They are basically like a found family. They live together, they love together, they laugh together, and I just really enjoy their dynamics and their relationships. There are so many themes in this book about love, friendship, humanity, or like not really humanity because there are different species, but just life. And I just really don't have words for it, but it's really, really great. And I would, if you haven't read it yet, what are you waiting for? These are the 13 books that stayed with me for whatever reason that I've read the past year, and they were all very excellent for different reasons. I will leave all the links to the book reviews in the description below, and if I haven't done a review on it, sorry, and some of the reviews are coming in future, so we'll look out for that. But that was it for today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you're reading something magical and wonderful, and I will see you soon. Bye!